Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Octatrack tip. I'm going to keep it short and sweet this week, just out of interest of time. I'm pretty busy, but I did want to show you guys something new, and this is pretty small, but I still think it's pretty important, and it kind of tacks on to what we were talking about last week. If you remember, I mentioned a few things about the idea of how the Octatrack uses samples with the pickup machine. And so essentially, I talked about the fact that when you play a sample on the Octatrack with the pickup machine, it only triggers once. So it's not actually telling the pickup machine to trigger the sample every 2 bars if I have a 2-bar loop or whatever. It's actually just playing it the first time and then telling the sample to loop to the length that it is without using any additional trigs. And the reason why that's important is because you can switch machines after a pickup machine is triggered without actually interrupting the flow of the pickup machine. So I'll just demonstrate that real quick. So I have my sample here, but I have a flex machine switched over, and nothing has happened yet until I tell it to do something else. So what are the implications of this? One is that you can actually set up a series of patterns and parts that adjust the levels of your pickup machine without worrying about affecting what's actually playing. And so, for example, if I have my first pattern set up to play the pickup machine, I switch over to a pattern where there's a flex machine here, or I switch over to a pattern where the pickup machine is completely muted, I don't need to worry about the part interrupting the play of the pickup machine. And this allows me to use the pickup machine almost like a running layer. Even if it's not playing, it's still playing in the background, and I can bring it in at any time. And this can be helpful because sometimes when you're switching parts around or switching patterns, especially patterns, you never know what you're interrupting, what's going to be there for you. But a pickup machine will be there for you. So yeah, play around with that. One way that I've found this to be helpful is my second pickup machine. I often, in this particular project, I'm using it as a baseline because sometimes if I'm recording a loop here, I want the baseline to be separate so I can mute it out. And if I'm switching patterns over to something that doesn't have the baseline, I can assign that to a third part, which has this particular pickup muted, and I don't have to worry about it not actually being there because pickup machines carry over from one part to another. They don't stop triggering, they don't stop triggering from one pattern to another either. So you can freely switch between patterns and parts and sort of rely on the pickup machine to continue to be there in its own way. And this can actually be pretty interesting too, in the sense that if I have a 2-bar loop here and I switch between one part and another under a different, maybe I don't actually do it to the 2-bar loop. Maybe I switch on a quarter note or I switch on a single step. The pickup machine will not reflect that. So it will continue to loop on its own clock. So you can use this to create some interesting polyrhythms and rhythmic contrast. So that's pretty much my tip for this week, and stay tuned for next week's jam, which will heavily feature all of these little tidbits of information. All right, thanks for watching.